Excellent. And we'll have a little chat. Let's see here. Okay, so first up on the agenda, I wanted to talk through the go-to-market plan. We've been talking for a while, like, we have a goal of launching this in FY25, but we set that like basically at the start of the year when we had pretty much no clue of what we were doing yet. So as we've gotten closer along, I think we have a better understanding of what we're doing and what's still remaining. And that end of the year target date was feeling more and more and more aggressive. So what I've got here is a proposal for how we can move things out in a way that ensures we're like maintaining or improving quality at every single stage. And so I just wanted to get everyone's feedback on this real quick. We can at least walk through it, and if you want to think about it and send a message to me later, that's fine. But I want to cover those four main stages here. So let me put this on screen so we got it to look at. First off, like we're in experimental alpha. I'm going to start calling it legacy. We need to define names at some point. But essentially, the experience that people have today, this has been live since 2020. And we know it doesn't scale. We know we can't fix the problems in there. But at the same time, people are using it and they're expecting it. So we want to keep this mode available until we go to GA. So you'll see in some further stages where people can start to use the new one, but we want to keep this experience preserved and stable for folks so that we don't have, like we had today, people emailing in, why are things changing? I don't like it. Like, let's concentrate all of that feedback gathering and management into one dedicated launch phase. So the next stage will be an internal beta or a dog food beta of the new design token powered dark mode. So this is what we're calling like the knocked mode internally. And the goal is to get this in front of our GitLab team members when we have all of the pajamas components updated with the vision so that people can turn it on, see what their pages and their features look like, and then help us understand what else we need to do to get the experience all the way there. So I'm expecting we'll probably be able to kind of launch this by the end of the quarter. Like Jeremy and Sasha have been just crushing the issue to like, add the vision to XYZ components. So we're on great track to be able to have this available to everybody soon. Exit criteria for this is I think some of where we're probably going to see some changes from what we were originally talking about, where we were like, oh, we'll get pajamas in place and then we'll have all the other teams do it. We're seeing a lot of pressure across the company to focus and to reduce the number of concurrent projects. And so the idea of coming to the entire company and saying, hey, everybody, please schedule all these CSS updates alongside all of your other important roadmap items is feeling more and more fraught. So what I'm thinking is that we're going to end up needing to support some of these other teams very directly, maybe partnering with product and design on their teams to, make some changes, work with paper cuts to help do some changes, maybe, potentially find some time for their front-end developers to contribute as well. But I think we're going to have to be the ones pushing this more than waiting for others to push it forward. So in the internal beta phase, I would like to work with the teams that own like the most high traffic pages. So think like merge requests and pipelines and work items, the features in GitLab that everybody spends all their time on. And let's make sure that within this beta period, those look and feel great. Once we get to that stage, I think then we can expose it to all customers and have it as an opt-in public beta. We'll still probably have to work with other teams for, less highly trafficked pages, audit logs or various settings pages, whatever. But we'll be able to collect user feedback at the same time to understand what is and isn't working. And then we'll be able to kind of consolidate all of that into a single body of work. I'm thinking this beta period can probably be fixed. I'm thinking maybe a 90-day beta period. Maybe that's optimistic. But of course, if we find any major issues, we would hold off and in turning that beta to the public GA. And at GA, the legacy dark mode goes away. The new dark mode becomes like there's like anyway, the new dark mode becomes the default. And then it's going to be standard GA support, right? So we'll probably have some post-launch support that we'll have to do. So I want to make sure we save some time for that in our roadmap. Yeah. And so that's the timeline that I'm looking at. So, into this quarter, we're still in legacy mode. Within Q4, we're internal beta. Within Q1, we're public beta. And then if everything goes peachy, at the end of Q1 next year, we launch to GA. Okay, there's a lot of words. What do you think about that? I can only assume you're wowed to silence by its perfection.
I think I still don't quite understand. Um, it, why? So at the moment, we use like color variables all through the code base, right?
Mhm.
And the way dark mode currently works, if my understanding is right, we take that variable and then we invert it to the dark mode
Mhm.
variable. So why couldn't we make a design a sem hang on, I want to get the words right. A semantic design token. No, that's not right. Like a design token just for this color that includes the original color and then the inverted color as the dark mode. So original as default and
Mhm.
then inverted as dark mode. And then we will have design tokens everywhere acting the same way as we currently have variables.
We certainly could do that. One of the goals we have is not just to replace dark mode, SAS variables with design tokens, but it's to improve the quality of dark mode. And the
Mhm.
inversion approach was a really nice, quick way to get a dark mode experience. Um, but it's not great. And I got message on Friday from a customer who was like, "Hey, are you going to do anything with this? Because this experience isn't great. And here's this other competitor experience that looks really good. What are y'all planning to do this?" And I shared a screenshot of some of the designs that Jeremy and Sasha had put together. He's like, "Yeah, that's perfect. Great. Please do this." And so that current inversion approach is not going to allow us to actually improve the visual quality of the product. And that's why we're going this extra mile to ensure we have the flexibility to really, really up level it.
And when you say improve the visibility of this mode, do you mean the difference between dark mode and nacht mode?
Well, I mean, improve the visual quality of the dark mode that GitLab offers, right? The legacy, the current dark mode, it's not super great. And the new Noct mode, based on the designs that we've all seen, is far better. So we're
Mhm.
going to keep people stable on what they've got access to today. But then once we've got a stable and fully ready experience in Noct mode, we'll switch out and make that the default and drop the legacy one.
Okay. Okay. So we're not just implementing dark mode, we're upgrading dark mode as
Exactly.
we do it. Yeah.
Exactly.
And there's no
That's
point doing a intermediate step where we put design tokens for the sake of it.
right. Right.
Yeah.
Like
Okay.
we
That makes
technically
sense.
already have dark mode. Like the goal is to
Mhm.
ship a high quality dark mode, right? It's not just getting it out there. It's something that people are going to be really excited to see.
Yeah. Cool. I think I was confusing these two goals of design tokens and dark mode.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. All right. Well, if you have any other thoughts or questions about the go-to-market plan, feel free to hit me up and we can chat async or one-on-one later. All right. Looking on to some active projects. It seems our design token gurus are not here, so we may have to hold off on that conversation. Unless, Vanessa, do you have any updates to share as you've been working with Dan on these things?
No exciting updates.
Okay.
It is a bit slower than before, but only because we grabbed the easy ones first. And the remaining ones sometimes come with discussions, but I think we are not blocking ourselves with it. There's progress. I think the list is decreasing, and at some point we will be there.
Yep. Cool. Cool. Well, on the dark mode side, how are things looking over there? Jeremy, Sasha?
I think it's slower than we'd like.
Mhm.
I because I transitioned to focusing on trying to get those done in code right away rather
Mhm.
than mess around in Figma as an interstitial, and just a lot of dependencies and things we still need to sort out from a design token standpoint before we can actually implement anything dark mode in a few cases. So
Is this a case where it would help to have engineering more involved in some of this rollout? Like we've got a ton of the components that are already um, token covered, right? Can we get some extra issues in the queue for other folks to help out with it?
I mean I think they already are.
Okay.
So yeah, it's not for lack of that.
Okay.
So we're in a longer cycle. Mostly I'm working with Scott on it. And so
Yeah.
it's a 24 to 48 hour turnaround between the two of us. So
Yeah. That time gap is hard.
but also just some of the decisions that we still have to make. Uh, In hindsight, I would have uh, I would have had us define the surface things as like the first thing we ever did for tokens
Yeah.
and dark mode. But that's one of the main blockers we're running into right now. So, and we're working through it. But like I said, it's just um, now I think we're waiting for some input from Dan. So I know he's out.
Okay. But the surfaces conversation, like I've seen a bunch of it in Slack. Is that all still going forward? Is there anything I can do to help or facilitate that?
Oh, it's still going forward. Yeah.
Okay. Awesome.
Yeah. But like some of the components, it's blocking, several of them until we get that sorted out. So um, yeah.
Okay. All right. Okay. And then I wanted to talk about this new Knox mode. Like we talked a couple weeks ago that like we are seeing issues with just rolling out these token or these vision design changes directly to our existing dark mode. And we wanted to segregate those into a separate mode. And we had said that we would be able to go do that, but I haven't heard anything about it since. And then we had some customer feedback this morning that they were not excited about a few of the small changes that have been going out.
Yeah, we had some good lengthy discussion on that, and just the proposal it's just not clean enough, and so we closed it. So we're not pursuing like a knocked mode uh, anymore.
That is now at odds with our go-to-market plan, though.
Yeah, I was going to bring that up, but I think we're too far down the track. I think they're too integrated, and we don't have a really good way to actually separate these and test them efficiently. They're too mixed up together already. So
Sorry, I don't quite understand.
it's
What's too mixed up together? What are the
yeah, it's a good question. So what we've been doing is everything dark mode. We've already been updating as like the dark defined tokens. And so, half of them are defined as dark. And if we do knocked on top of that, then we're testing the existing alpha mode with a little bit of knocked on top of it. But then we have to figure out which is knocked, which is dark, and we still have to deal with integrations. Like even to test that in the product accurately, you still have to go in and be like, oh, we have to fix this or we have to update this. So we're running into the same blockers that we were before, or the same, I shouldn't call them blockers, but it's just the same effort, just under a different name and adding a different layer to it. So it just decreased our efficiency and mixed up too many concepts. On the other side of it, like we can't support it in Figma. and we can't support it from a design side. And so we can support the token building those things, but as I understand it from Scott's perspective, we'd have to have like duplicate design files and things like this that just make it untenable from that perspective too.
So the challenges are mostly on the implementation and maintenance cost. But the concept is still valid that we could expose them as two separate modes to end users, right? Because that was the big concern I had, is not the cost of it, but it's the experience for the end users, the stability for them.
As far as what I've read from Scott is it was going to be internal only, and we were not going to expose Noct to external users. Like that's like in that issue, like that's the process. It would be you go into your inspector and you add something, to trigger this. So
Right. But I guess my point is, if we had that separate Noct mode, customers would still have the stable legacy dark mode experience. We wouldn't be pushing the changes like the new gradient style alert top border to those customers. Is that correct?
I believe so. You'd have to
Okay.
talk to Scott, but
Okay.
I think that's the case. But for us to separate the two, like it would have, I think if we initially, when we talked about this, like at the very beginning of the project, if we had said like we need to isolate the current dark mode and then the dark tokens that we're doing are all only for this Noct mode, I think it would make sense. But now that like I've said, we've migrated things from the new dark mode, like they're into the existing, and then we want to add another layer on top of it. It's just it's getting quite complex, and both Scott and I were like, I not feeling very confident that it's really going to deliver on what we were hoping for.
Okay.
For the design token changes we are doing by basically replacing some color values with design tokens. I think it doesn't depend on if it's Nacht mode or usual dark mode. We are definitely adding design tokens, which will then have a dark mode set already, which will influence GitLab directly. There are not many, but some changes definitely will be expected. So I'm wondering if this batch was just a normal change aside from the Nacht mode.
I think there'll be more of that, because if we continue the same path, there's like two steps, right? Where we're updating everything to be tokenized, and then we're going back and updating those tokens to align with the new like dark mode direction. And so as we update to that dark mode direction, users are going to be experiencing those changes in alpha. And some of those changes are going to be more extreme.
Does that have to happen now? I guess it seems like the oddity is sort of this this in progress view of the new dark mode. And I mean, I think that's what we were seeing today, that there are some complaints and concerns about what's happening without any view of where it's going to go. Is there any way to, I guess, preserve the alpha dark mode for longer so that we don't have this sort of weird half and half state for a lengthy period of time?
I think that's what we had hoped for early on. And to be clear, as far as I know, it's like one comment. Like, so I don't think we should overreact to that either. And according to customer support, it's a client that has reacted about visual changes before. And the reality is that this is alpha. Like these, we're not, it's experiment. So I don't want to overreact on that either. Like we could follow our iteration value and say, this is part of our iteration, is you're getting these things on the fly. And I'd be fine with that. But to your question, Chris, that's kind of what we had asked, not kind of, that is what we had asked for early on, was an ability to separate those things. But tokenization proceeded like without a separation. So And so now we're catching up with dark mode and wanting to implement that. And it's like we don't have any other place to implement it.
Okay. Well, Chris, let's sync up with Sam on this soon and see if we can understand better if there is a technical path forward or if we need to revise our go-to-market plan. Because if we are going to go forward as we're working today, we're going to need a very different communication strategy than what we've outlined here.
Yeah, I think that's something that would need to change.
Okay.
And to be clear, if like to the other half of your question, Chris, if we wait, I don't think we'll hit our deadline. I'm leery of it already, but I think if we wait, we've run into enough like bootstrap view issues and migration things that we know we'll have to do, that I think there'll be enough of those that if we wait and then we try to jump and fix all these, I don't know that we would hit our deadline either, because we're kind of pushing back a lot of unknown migration
Which
things that we might need to do.
deadline are we talking about now, though? The one that Jeff is sharing today?
For dark mode. Just
At the end of the year or at the end of Q2?
end of year.
Yeah, okay. Okay. Well, I'm very glad we talked through this today. So I was going to plan to share this go-to-market update with a much broader audience. So we need to revisit it before I go telling everybody what we're going to be doing. So thank you for talking through that with me. And again, Chris and Sam and I will talk through this as soon as I guess he's back in office. All right. Any other updates on dark mode or design tokens? No, we got one discussion topic remaining. Cool.
No, just one comment. I think that
Yeah.
that sums up like my confusion I had when I reached out to you earlier today.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, glad to see that we eventually find a solution for it.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. I'm glad you could make it here to help sort that out. Thank you, Sasha. Awesome. James, what you got for us?
Yeah, so I was helping Dan with adding design tokens for GL form combo box. We realized that it has deprecated drop-down usage. So when I was investigating it, and I realized there's only a few implementations of it, and I thought I'd like to know, maybe we could just deprecate it if we're not really using it. So I created this issue with quite a lot of thought in it, but it seems to be that we're really only using it for the autocomplete option. And it seems to me that we could add autocomplete tokens to the form input. And then we could get rid of form combo box. But the real reason I'm bringing it up is I created the issue. I thought I tagged the right people. I don't know how to ask for a decision on this.
Yeah. I agree that you tagged the right people. I saw it and I wasn't involved, so I didn't step in or involved in the original creation of it. But I think we do need Mark and Alina's input on this. It seems like they were very deliberate in carving this out. And so I want to better understand their intent. So I'll go follow up on that issue this afternoon and ping them again and be like, hey, please, we see you've been involved. We want to make sure that we're not undoing your work.
So should I assign that to you or?
Not just yet. I'll just ping them. Just
Okay,
to
no
ping
worries.
folks on that issue. Okay.
Yeah, I was trying to work out, like I could do a mock-up of having the form input have autocomplete, but I don't know if it'd be useful. So I held off for now.
Yeah. Yeah, I appreciate the work that you've done into it. I think we need more input from kind of the original intent of it.
Sweet.
Autocomplete would mean that we have the suggestion flyout box below the input field.
Yeah. It might mess up with like people's autocomplete in Chrome. There is like a built-in HTML autocomplete, but it looks like we don't use it on purpose. So
Yeah,
I guess
the
it doesn't
native
look very
autocomplete
good.
can also be whatever you have just entered before, which can be very annoying. Which I know from demos, because I always scribble a lot of nonsense in my input fields, and then I want to make a demo, and then it's like, oh gosh, people will see.
Awesome. Cool. I think that was it for the agenda today. Anybody have anything else they wanted to hit on before we wrap up? Cool. Well, thank you so much for your time. I hope you have a great afternoon. See y'all
Yeah.
later.
Yeah.
You.